Hello, my name is Riley Grove, and today we'll be doing case study 3, example of muted group theory in action. So what is muted group theory? First, muted group theory, or MGT for short, is the theory that communication between two groups cause power differences that can stop or suppress the voices and language of certain groups. Those groups that are suppressed, the voices are suppressed, are called submissive groups, and the ones that are in charge or in power are the dominant groups. Examples of the submissive groups include those like people of color, minorities, women, and children. And examples of the dominant groups, the ones in power, are usually men, white, in places of power, bosses, or places of authority. So you see a lot of different examples of muted group theory with these certain dynamics between either men and women, or bosses and subordinates, adults and children, or white people and people of color or different minorities. So the example that we're going to take from today is a case of muted group theory is one from a subreddit called r/relationships on Reddit. This example shows the muted group theory in action. The example is titled, I'm a 30-year-old female dealing with pneumonia, but my fiance, 28-year-old male, isn't offering any support. The case talks about a fiance who is sick with a terrible case of pneumonia, who has difficulty doing the simplest of tasks and can barely even make it out of bed to get to the bathroom. She says her kids help and do what they can, but they're just kids in the end, and asks her soon-to-be husband for support and help. She says that he refuses to help and states that he won't take care of her kids and that he has no responsibility to take care of them. He swears, scoffs, gets mad at her, and even ignores her for even asking for help during her illness that has her bedridden. She says she doesn't know what to do and isn't sure if she's being emotional or not. So this is an example of muted group theory because there are two groups in play. One, the dominant group, that being the soon-to-be husband, fiance, a man who is physically well, he's in charge, he won't help, right? The other group is submissive because she is physically weaker and a woman. She is the submissive group. She's bedridden with pneumonia, asking for help. She can't really voice her opinion fully at this point. The example shows the two groups, but it also shows the dynamic between them. The man also has a distorted view of reality because he is the dominant group in the relationship. So because he's the man, because he is physically well and like physically more powerful in this relationship at the moment, his view of reality is what he wants, and that for some reason he is one it's one where he feels that he shouldn't have to help his fiance even during her sickness because those technically aren't his kids, or whatever deluded reason in his mind he has to make to not help her. He's taking advantage of not only her but her state as the submissive and muted group. So my response to this would be, just as a lot of others on Reddit said, are to just dump him. He clearly lacks the emotional maturity to treat others as he'd want to be treated. People who are accustomed to being in dominant groups in relationships often don't think or don't have to think or worry about being in such a disadvantage, but it is important to remember that there are tons of people who do fit into that muted and submissive group, and we should all keep that in mind in dealing with our personal relationships and all our lives. So there's a lot of examples of this, but this one is a good one where it talks just about like how the fiance, the wife, a soon-to-be wife who is the submissive group, isn't able to truly voice her opinion and has to sort of change and adapt her language to being one that the dominant group uses, that being the man, the soon-to-be husband. And because he is the one in power, the one in charge, he's the dominant group, his view of reality is the one that is quote unquote the truth, right? So one that he believes is correct, and the one that the wife has to adhere to because she's the submissive group. Of course, these are my sources, the Reddit and also the book. And as always, thank you very much.